Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome to the session. Welcome to the demo session of AWS Cloud, day 2. So, on the first demo session, we have understood like the basic introduction of AWS Cloud. What is AWS Cloud and what are all the services that are going to cover in this particular course. And also, like we started a service, we started with the first service called EC2. So we know about the EC2 service. We started discussing about this EC2 service. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Hope you all have created accounts in the AWS Cloud. So, and it is a very easy process. And I've explained to you how can we create an account in the AWS Cloud. And please let me know if you are facing any issues while creating AWS account. So if anyone has not yet created, please try creating AWS account so that it will be useful for you to practice all the services. It is free of cost only, so you don't need to pay anything. Please try to create a free tier account. Okay. So while creating the account itself, it will in the beginning itself, it will ask you a few options like whether you want to create this as a free tier. Okay. So please select the free tier option. Then a free tier account will be created. Please let me know if you have any doubts in creating accounts at all. That's a very easy process. The only thing is, like yesterday, I told you like you should have a debit card or credit card which is enabled for international transactions. You should provide your debit card details or credit card details so that the validation will take place. It will verify whether you are the correct user trying to create an account, and then it will provide and then a free account will be created. Free tier account will be created. So once an account is created, you can log in. I have shown you how can we log into the account and all. So once after login to the page, once after login to the account, you will see the page like this. This is how the page looks like. And you can see here we have services. You can just click on the services to see the list of services. And if you want to search for a particular service, suppose consider your dashboard might be looks little different. Why? Because so I have used these services very frequently. That's why it is showing like recently visited services or EC2, S3, IAM like that. Your dashboard might looks little different. So that time, if you want to search for a particular service, you can go to the dashboard. You can go to the search bar here. Immediate to the services, we have a search bar. Please search with EC2. Okay, if you want to search for a particular service called EC2, go and search like EC2. And yesterday we had a discussion on how can we create a server, how can we create an instance. According to AWS terminology, we should call the servers as instances. So that's why I'm calling as instances, AWS instances. If you see now, we don't have any instance running. I have deleted the instance. Why? Because since we are using the free tier account, if we want to use the account for a long time, okay, after practicing, once after practicing, please delete all the resources that you are creating, not only the EC2 instances, okay? So whatever the resources we create, please try to delete them. And whenever you want to practice, you can recreate again. So now you all understood like how can we create an instance? You know, you understood, right? Why we are discussing about this particular service called EC2. EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. The purpose of this service is if you want a Linux environment or if you want a Windows environment, meaning if you want to create a Linux server or if you want to create a Windows server, and in the Linux also we have different flavors. You can create any server with any of the operating systems that is being provided by the AWS Cloud provider. So I am just going to show you how we are going to create a server. And we have seen all the steps also yesterday. First, we need to just click on the launch instance for creating a server. And if you want, you can provide the name. It is an optional one. It is not mandatory. If you want, you can provide the name. I am just providing the name as my server. Okay, this is optional. It is not mandatory. And the very first step is like you need to choose an operating system. While launching an instance or while creating an instance, you need to choose an operating system. Here we have some list of operating systems. You see, we have Amazon Linux, Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat. Many operating systems are there. Yesterday, I've chosen Windows operating system. So now also I would like to show you how can we connect to the Windows server. Okay, I'm just selecting the Windows operating system only. I'm coming down. So when I am selecting this Windows operating system, by default, it is selecting some image. It is selecting some image, and the name of the image is Microsoft Windows Server 2022. Okay, and it is eligible for free tier. So if anything is listed as free tier eligible, so we can use them. We can use them. Okay, as a free tier account, we can use them. So when I'm selecting Windows, it is listing out. It is showing some free tier eligible images are available. I'm just by default it is selected. Okay, I did not select anything. You see here, I'm going to the Ubuntu. So when I just click on Ubuntu, by default, the image which is eligible for free tier is selected. And again, I'm selecting Windows. The image which is eligible for the image which is eligible for free tier is got selected. Okay, so you don't need to select, but make sure that you have selected a free tier eligible one or not. This is the first step that we are doing, and that's why I told you whenever you create a server, we will think of few things. What is the random access memory? What is the storage? And what is the CPU? What is the CPU capacity? Okay, and what is the operating system? Operating system is done. We have chosen operating system. The next level is instance type. If you choose this instance type, it will provide you the number of CPUs as well as how much random access memory we are going to get. So for example, if I choose T2.micro, you see here there are various categories. Under instance type, there are various categories. If you just go to the drop down and have a look, we have T2.nano, T2.micro, T2.small, like that various instances are there, various categories are there. I am selecting T2.micro for now. If I select T2.micro, I will get only one CPU, only one CPU. So I will tell you the story later. What is this one CPU? What is two CPUs? What is three CPUs and all? We will understand slowly. Don't worry about it. But for now, you need to understand, if I am selecting T2.micro, we are getting only one CPU and 1 GB RAM. So try to understand one more thing. If I get T2.medium, if I'm going to select T2.medium, I'm going to get two CPUs and 4 GB RAM. So we can able to understand very clearly that two CPUs is having greater capacity than the machine which is having one CPU. Usually, this T2.medium is having two CPUs and 4 GB RAM. So the capacity of the T2.medium is high. Usually the performance of the T2.medium will be high. See, whenever the capacity, the CPU capacity, RAM capacity is greater, the performance will also be higher. The performance will also be good. So in that way, if you want higher performance, you need to go for choosing other instance categories like T2.large. Okay, T2.xlarge. You see here, T2.xlarge is having 4 CPUs and 16 GB RAM. Obviously, 4 CPUs and 16 GB RAM machine will have more computational speed. Okay, the performance of this machine will be greater when compared to the other categories, which is having 2 CPUs and 8 GB RAM or 4 GB RAM. So that's how we will calculate which machine or what based on our requirement. Okay, suppose if you want some medium performance, based on that we will select. If you want some lower, if you want a machine with only one CPU or 1 GB RAM, so in that way also we can select based on the category. Okay, for now I am selecting T2.micro, and I am going to the next step. You try to understand here. We have chosen operating system. The next step, we have chosen one CPU and 1 GB RAM, T2.micro machine. We are getting only one CPU and 1 GB RAM. And obviously, I told you what is the purpose of key pair. So this key pair will be helpful for you. Okay, key pair is nothing but a key here. We are generating a key, and this key will be useful for connecting to the instance from your local machine. So this is my local machine. Okay, I am working in my laptop and I am creating a server in the AWS cloud. I am creating a server in the AWS cloud. And how can I connect to the server from my local machine? So with the help of this key pair only. So this key pair will be helpful for connecting to the instance securely with the help of the key. And once a key pair is created, once a key pair is available, you don't need to you don't need to create a key pair often. Okay, very frequently you don't need to create. If you want, you can create a key pair every time. Otherwise, you can use the existing key pair for connecting to any of the instances. So I have created a key pair yesterday, if you remember. If you remember, I created a key pair yesterday, and those key pairs, whatever the key pairs that were already created, those key pairs will be available here in the drop down. You see, I'm selecting the drop down. Earlier, I created my KP90, and yesterday in our demo session, I have created a key pair called AWS Devops 28. So this is the key pair I have created yesterday. That's the reason why I'm choosing the key pair. I'm not going to create a new one. I'm choosing the existing one. Okay. So if you don't want to select the existing one, if you want to create a new one, yes, you can go ahead and create a new key pair also. That doesn't matter. Okay. You can create a new key pair and you need to give some name while creating the key pair. And based on that, you can select that one. Okay. So I'm now going to the network settings as we discussed. I am not going to make any changes under this network settings. Why? Because we need to understand the concept of VPC. Once we understand virtual private cloud, it is one of the services provided by the AWS. We need to understand VPC very clearly. Once we understand virtual private cloud, then only we can go for modifying the network settings. Otherwise, we will not understand anything here. So that's the reason why I don't want to disturb the network settings. I want to leave this network settings by default for now. So in the upcoming sessions, we will be discussing about a service called VPC. Once we understand the VPC, we will come back and we will see how we are going to set up the network settings. So that's the reason why we did not disturb this network settings yesterday also. I make this network settings as default, okay? And you see here, under the network settings, I told you one important thing, which is called as security groups. So all the above things, network, subnet, this public IP, all these things we will discuss once we understand the concept of VPC, okay? We'll come back and discuss once we understand the concept of VPC. And now I would like to talk about this firewall security groups. So the security group is mainly for setting up the firewalls. You know what is a firewall? I told you yesterday, we are creating a server in the AWS cloud. And I want to connect to that server from my local machine. So if I want to connect like that, in this machine, which is created in the AWS cloud, some port needs to be opened. Port needs to be opened. Port, P-O-R-T, port needs to be opened. So which port needs to be opened here? You see here. In the server which we are creating, by default, it is allowing the RDP traffic. By default, I did not select this option. I did not check this option, but by default, this option was selected. As I told you, it is very intelligent. When you are going to create a Windows server, I'm selecting Windows operating system, right? That's the reason why it is allowing RDP traffic. It is opening this RDP port. If it doesn't open the RDP port, we cannot connect to this server from our local machine. If this RDP traffic, if this RDP port is not opened, we cannot connect to this server from our local machine to this server. That's the reason why that's the reason why we need to open this port. We need to make sure by default this will be opened, okay? And you also need to make sure whether this RDP port is verified, opened or not. So since this is a Windows server, this RDP port is open. Suppose if it is a Linux server, SSH port will be opened. Okay, try to understand the difference. If you are creating a Linux server, SSH port will be open and should be open. Okay, SSH port should be open. If you are creating a Windows server, this RDP port must be opened. So since we are creating Windows, this RDP port is opened. Okay, we are allowing the RDP port. So I'm just going to the next step. The next step is like storage. We already discussed all these things in the previous session. So for the sake of like the people who have missed, again I'm repeating. Say the storage. I'm just taking the storage. I'm not taking any storage here. I'm not going to edit anything here. So by default, when we go to this particular option called storage, you see here by default they are providing 30 GB for the free tier eligible customers. This is the default value. I did not make any change. So free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB of EBS. So here I would like to tell one more thing. There is a service called EBS. There is a service called EBS. EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage. Elastic Block Storage. Elastic Block Storage is one of the services in the AWS cloud, which mainly deals about the storage part. It is nothing but a hard disk in our laptop or in our personal machines. Okay, you can consider our personal machines or our personal computers. So there we will talk about hard disk, right? Hard disk is mainly for the purpose of storage. So in the same way, here in the concept of virtual machines also, in the AWS instances also, we need some storage. We need the storage. So if you want the storage, you need to understand about this particular service called EBS. We will come and discuss about this service. For now, you need to understand like by default, there is a 30 GB storage. 30 GB volume is being provided. Okay. By default, 30 GB volume is there. So if you want to increase, you can increase. But free tier eligible customers can get up to 30 GB. So if you want to increase this, you can increase. No issues. So this is nothing but a hard disk, okay? For the storage purpose. This is for the storage purpose. And here the storage service in the AWS cloud is called as EBS. EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage. Okay, there is a specific service. We will talk about this service also, Elastic Block Storage. I'm just coming down. I don't want to make any changes here. I don't want to go for any other changes. These are the necessary changes that I need to make for creating a server. Okay, I'm just clicking on launching the instance. Okay, I'll just click on launch instance. And simply, if I just click on the launch instance, a server is going to be created. Okay, EC2 instance is going to be created. How to check whether the server is created or not? You see here, you can see the status. When I just click on the option, when I just click on the launch option, you see a successfully initiated launch of the instance. Okay, the process is ongoing. You can click on EC2 dashboard, go to instances, and you can see here. This is the server I have created. My server is the name of the server I have created. And if you see here the instance state, how can we know whether this server is up and running? Okay, I just launched this server, but I don't know whether this server is up and running. How can we determine? How can we know whether this server is fully up and running or not? By looking at this instance state. You can see the instance state here. Still, it is showing like pending. Okay, so usually it will take few seconds. Okay, once after launching the instance, it will take few seconds for the machine to come into running state. So usually earlier it was in the pending state. Now you can observe it is clearly showing that the server is in the running state. Okay. Sorry. Yes, you can see here the server is in the running state now. And you also can see the instance type. What is the instance type you selected? The instance type you selected is T2.micro. Okay. And if you want more information about this service and all, you can go to the details. Okay, this is the key pair I used, and at what time we launched the service, and what is the security group name. Okay, security group. You need to understand what is security group in the AWS. Security group is mainly for dealing with the firewalls. Security group deals with a set of firewalls, the port numbers that you need to open. So there is a name. This is this is not the name that is given by me. By default, it has taken the name. And you already remember what are the ports that we have opened under this. So we have opened only one port. What is a port? If you remember, we opened the port called RDP. So I already mentioned you what is the purpose of opening RDP port. If we want to connect to this server from our local machine, that RDP port must be opened. Okay. So now how can we connect to this server? Very simple. You see, I would like to connect to this server. Okay, I am just selecting the server. Okay, I am going to just click on connect button. You see here, I am just going to click on connect button. I'm just showing you how we are going to connect to the server from our local, okay, from our local machine. Or I'm just selecting the server. Just click on connect button, and you will have three options here. When you just click on the connect button, you will see the three options. One is session manager, RDP client, as well as EC2 serial console. Leave about these three. Leave about the first one and the third one. Since we are launching a Windows server, we need to go for RDP client. We need to use this option called RDP client. I will discuss with you later about the session manager and the EC2 serial console. For now, since we are launching the Windows server can be connected by using RDP protocol. That's the reason why I'm going for RDP client. I am selecting an RDP client. Okay, leave about the session manager and EC2 serial console. Let's discuss about them later. I am selecting RDP client. And slowly come down, you will see a few options here. You will have the DNS name. Okay, this is the DNS name. And you can see here, we also have username. So how to connect to this server? Usually in our local machine, see, this is my local machine. In every machine, in every local machine, if you are using the Windows operating system, you will see some application called a remote desktop connection. So there is a software installed by default, which is called remote desktop connection. Just open that remote desktop connection. Open the RDP. Okay. So just open this RDP, remote desktop connection. By default, this option you will find in your machine, in your Windows operating system. How I'm getting this? I'm just selecting the search. I'm going to the search option and I'm searching with remote desktop connection. Okay. You need to open this remote desktop connection. So once after opening this remote desktop connection, you see here what you need to provide. What are the things that you need to provide? I'm just going to click on connect button. See here, I'm going to remove everything here. You understood what I'm doing here? I'm just opening the remote desktop connection. Once after opening the remote desktop connection, here at the computer, you need to provide the DNS name. You need to provide the DNS name. So where I have the DNS name, this is the DNS name. You can see public DNS. Can you see the public DNS? Copy the public DNS and provide the name of the public DNS here at the computer section. Okay, at the computer, you need to provide this DNS. Just copy the DNS and paste it over here as it is. And you see here, we have some other options we need to provide. You also need to provide username. How to provide the username? We are also able to see the username. The username is administrator. Provide the username at the username section. Provide the username also. I'm just closing this. Okay, provide the username here at the username section. And we should also provide the password. Okay, so I have provided this public DNS as well as username, and I'm just trying to click on connect button. You will see now it will ask for the password. Definitely it will ask for the password. So it is going to ask the password. You see, it is asking for the password. Now, how I am going to get the password? Let's see now how we are going to get the password. If you want the password, you have an option here, get password. Can you see here? I have an option here, get password. Just click on the get password. Just click on the get password. So to get the password, you need to upload your private key file. If you remember, we have already used a key pair. While launching the instance, we have used the key pair. You need to upload the key pair here to get the password. Let me show you what is the key pair name. The key pair associated with this instance is AWS Devops 28. If you remember, I have shown you how to create a key pair and all. So whatever the key pair that you have generated while launching the instance, that key pair you need to upload now. So just click on upload private key file. Upload private key file. And in the downloads, I'm having this file already, which is already downloaded. You don't need to download. So while launching the instance, when you create a key pair, that will automatically gets downloaded to your local machine. So this got downloaded to my local machine, and I have selected this AWS 28 key pair. I'm opening it. Once after opening it, okay, I will go to decrypt password. I'll just click on decrypt password. That's it. Decrypt password. And you see here, password is generated. I will copy the password. I'll go to the remote desktop connection. I will provide, yes, I'll provide the password here, and I will simply click on OK. You can see now we are going to connect to the, copying the password. I'll paste it over here. Can you see now? I got successfully connected to the machine which is created in the AWS cloud. You know, I got connected to the Windows machine which is created, which I have launched in the AWS cloud. This is not my personal machine. This is not my personal machine. I got connected to the machine which is created in the AWS cloud. This is a Windows operating system. I have selected Windows operating system, and this is a Windows server. I got connected to the Windows server which is launched there in the AWS cloud. And still the settings, still some personalized settings are going on. Okay. So once after that, you can clearly see the windows, and you already know you have selected the instance type as T2.micro, which is having only one CPU as well as 1 GB RAM. Very less configuration you have selected. We selected, right? So you now see here, this is the server. This is the server that I have launched in the AWS cloud, and you can work whatever the work that you want to do in this particular server, you can do, and you can close this server at any point of. Hope you understood. I have shown you how we are creating a server in the AWS cloud, Windows server particularly, okay? How we have created a Windows server in the AWS cloud and how we got connected to this server. Hope you understood the process, okay? How we got connected to the server. And if you want to come out of this server, okay? If you, whatever the work you want to do now here, you can connect. Whatever the work you want to do with this instance, you can see here when I'm going to when I'm going to give a right click on it, it is clearly showing what is the host name of this instance ID, private IP address, public IP address, instance type, okay, where it got created, where the machine got created. Can you see now there is a availability zone? There is an option called availability zone. There is an option called availability zone. We will talk about this availability zones also later, but for now, you need to understand there is a region in the AWS cloud. As I told you, there is a region. I'm just closing this instance. Okay, how to come out of this instance? Is you can simply, if you want to close the connection, you can simply close it. Okay, so the connection got disconnected, and we came back again to our local machine. If you want to connect once again, you need to open the remote desktop. You need to have all these things. Okay, you need to save the password, all these things. Copy the domain name. With the domain name is already there. DNS name. This one EC234 to 21. Okay, this is the public DNS. So we need to provide this DNS over here. And username is already there. Administrator. Just click on connect. If you click on connect, it will ask for the password. Okay. It is asking for the password. Just copy the password and paste it the password over here so that you will be connecting to the. Hope you understood how we are connecting to the machine that is created in the AWS cloud. This is a Windows server. Okay, this is a Windows server. And if you want to close the connection, close the connection. Okay, and you can come back to the local machine again. This is my local laptop now. Okay, I'm just coming to the EC2 dashboard. I would like to show you a few more options in the service called EC2. Okay, so for just now, I have shown you how to launch an EC2 instance. And we are also going to launch some Linux instances. Anyhow, that we will cover the later sessions. How to create an EC2, how to create a Linux server, how can we connect to the Linux server, how can we install, how we are going to run some Linux commands. All those things we will cover in the upcoming sessions. So this is how we create a Windows server, and this is how we get connected to the Windows server in the AWS cloud. And few options I would like to tell you here in the EC2 service. If you see here, the instance state is running. Usually, if the instance state is running, we can say that this particular instance is running. And if by looking at the instance type, we can say this is a T2.micro instance. T2.micro means only one CPU and 1 GB RAM. Okay, only one CPU and 1 GB RAM will be there for this instance. And this is very, very important. This is called status check. Okay, this is status check. So after launching the instance, once your machine is fully up and running, you will see the status checks passed as 2 by 2. You will see the status checks passed as 2 by 2. What is the meaning of the status check? Let's understand. I would like to tell you about what is the status checks and all. Status checks, what is the meaning? So if you want to know about the status checks, there is a meaning here. First status check. Status check 1 is nothing but instance status check. And see, 2 by 2 means what? There are two status checks. Okay, 2 by 2 means if it is showing like 2 by 2 status checks passed, if it is showing like 2 by 2 checks passed, meaning is 2 checks got passed. What are those 2 checks? The first status check is instance status check. The second check is system status check. What is the meaning of instance status check? See, now it is showing like 2 by 2, but sometimes it might show you the status check as 1 by 2. Sometimes it might show as 1 by 2. If it is showing like the status check as 1 by 2, it means the instance status is failed. If it is showing 1 by 2, you need to understand that instance status check is failed. And sometimes it also show like 0 by 2. What do you mean by 0 by 2? It means the system status check is failed. Got it? It means the system status check is failed. What is the meaning of instance status and system status? We will come there. You see here, you know, if the system status is failed, it is nothing but the hardware is failed. You know, actually how actually our machines will be. Usually, let me show you. If I'm having a personal machine, how actually the operating system is installed in my machine and all, you should understand. So there should be a hardware. You see here, I have a hardware. Even in my personal laptop, I have a hardware. What do you mean by hardware here? Hardware is nothing but I will be having a CPU, RAM, hard disk, all these things. Okay, all these things comes under hardware section. All these things, CPU, RAM, hard disk, all these things comes under the hardware section. Once the hardware is available, once the hardware is working fine, then on top of the hardware, I am going to install my software, which is called operating system. I am going to install any operating system on top of this hardware. My hardware should be working fine. If my hardware is working fine, then I can install any operating system on top of my hardware. If my hardware is not working fine, I cannot install OS. Hope you got it. Okay, there are two things you need to understand for any machine or for any instance to launch. Okay, hardware should be working fine. If hardware is working fine, then only we can install operating system on top of the hardware. In the same concept, you see here, if it is showing 2 by 2 checks passed, it means hardware worked fine. That's the reason why on top of the hardware, OS also got installed properly. And that's the reason why machine is working fine. By looking at these 2 checks, we need to understand hardware worked fine. That's the reason why on top of the hardware, OS got installed properly. And that's the reason why it is showing 2 by 2 checks passed. Suppose if it shows only 1 by 2, okay, if it shows 1 by 2, meaning is the instance check is failed. If it shows 0 by 2, meaning is hardware is failed. Why 0 to 0? So sometimes maybe now it is showing like 2 by 2. Sometimes it may show like 0 by 2. The reason if it shows 0 by 2, you need to understand the hardware is failed. That's the reason why even the OS is also not installed properly. See, if the hardware itself is failed, how can we install operating system? We cannot install OS on top of hardware if the hardware is failed.
சின்ன போறான் ட்ரெஸ் போடு ஏய் நிறைய ஊருக்கு போதாமா ஊருக்குறாவா
So make sure you understand about the status checks. Sometimes the status checks may show like 0 by 2. So if it shows 0 by 2, you need to understand the hardware is failed. Since the hardware is failed, it is showing 0 by 2. Okay, if sometimes it might show 1 by 2, you need to understand if it is 1 by 2, instance status check might got failed. Meaning, okay, meaning only the OS is not installed properly. Okay, instance status check means OS is not installed properly. Okay, try to understand. So how to troubleshoot? Suppose if the status check is showing like 0 by 2, how can we troubleshoot the instance? You can stop the machine and you can stop the instance. Sometimes if you observe the status check as 0 by 2, how to troubleshoot? You need to stop the machine and you can start the machine once again, so that your issue will be resolved. Why? How it is resolving? We need to understand how the issue is being resolved. Whenever we stop and start the instance, it might choose some different hardware. It might choose some different hardware. It will be switched to some different hardware also. Okay, physical machine is nothing but hardware. When we see 0 by 2, if there is an issue with the hardware, we will see the 0 by 2. So if it switches to different hardware, then our issue will be resolved. And sometimes if we see 1 by 2, this is nothing but there is an issue with the OS. Okay, if you reboot the instance, when you reboot the instance, OS will be reloaded and this issue will be resolved. You will not see this 1 by 2 again. Okay, try to understand. Whenever you see 0 by 2, you need to stop the instance and start the instance once again, so that it will be switched to a different hardware and you will not see the hardware issue. So since you are facing 0 by 2, because since you are having some issues with the hardware, if your hardware is working properly, you will not see 0 by 2. If you are facing 1 by 2 status check issue, it is nothing but you are facing issue with some operating system level. If you reboot the instance, your operating system will be reloaded and will get installed properly, will work properly. Since your OS is not loaded properly, you might see an issue called 1 by 2. That time you need to reboot your instance. When you reboot, OS will be reloaded. You will not see this issue called 1 by 2. That is about status checks. I am talking about just now I talked about 2 status checks. Okay, for now this is working fine. It is showing like 2 by 2. Sometimes it might show 0 by 2. When it shows 0 by 2, you need to stop the instance and you need to start the instance once again, so that your issue will be resolved. And whenever it shows 1 by 2, what you need to do, you need to reboot the instance. I will show you how you are going to reboot the instance or how you are going to stop and restart the instance. Suppose if this is the machine, select the machine and you will see here you have some options here. You have some options here. When you place when you see this drop down here, instance state, currently the instance state is running, and if you want to stop the instance, you can stop the instance. We're just stopping the instance. What do you mean by stopping the instance? Shutting down. We are just shutting down this machine. We are not terminating. Try to understand. Stopping the instance means we're just shutting down the instance. We can again switch on. We can again switch on this instance. I'm just stopping the instance for now. Okay, once you stop the instance, you'll see the status. You'll see the state of this instance will be like in the stopped state. Again, if you want to start it, go to the instance state. Again, this option is there. One more option got highlighted here, which is called start instance. If you want to start the instance, again, you can start the instance. You need to wait for a few seconds once after selecting any particular option here. Just now I selected start the instance option. You need to refresh and see whether that machine is coming to the running state or not. You need to wait for some time. You need to wait for a few seconds to the machine to come into the running state. You can see now still the machine is in the pending state. Just now I started the instance and you see after a few seconds it came into the running state. Okay, so you need to understand the options here. Stop the instance is nothing but just shutting down the instance. Whenever you want to start again, you can start the instance again. And most of the times you see here, people will go for using this option here. Usually, whenever we launch a machine, we need to pay the bill for the time that we are using this server. Okay, for the time suppose if we are using this server for 1 hour, we need to pay the bill for 1 hour. If I'm using this server for 2 hours, I need to pay the bill for 2 hours. I want this instance again, but I don't want to be kept this in the running state. I want to keep this in the stopped state for now. So that we can avoid billing. You can select the instance, you can go to the state, you can stop the instance so that you can avoid the billing. You can avoid some billing. Okay, you can avoid some billing. So if the resources are not in the running state, if the resources are in the stopped state, then you can avoid some billing. So that's the reason why a few times, if you want to stop the servers, you can stop the servers. You can kept in the stopped state. And a few more options are there. You see, we have other options like reboot. You can also select this reboot option. Rebooting is nothing but what? Restarting. Reloading, reboot the instance means if you feel your operating system is not loaded properly, then you can go for reboot the instance. If you reboot the instance, system restart will take place. And if there are any issues with the operating system, it will reload it might reload properly. So you can also use this reboot option. If you want to reboot, you can reboot it. Successfully initiated rebooting. Rebooting is nothing but restarting. Hope you understood the meaning of starting the instance, stop the instance, rebooting the instance. If you want to delete the instance permanently, if you want to delete the instance permanently, you need to select this option called terminated. I'm just selecting this option here. You see, I'm going to select this instance. Go to the instance state. You can select this terminate instance. It is asking, are you sure you want to terminate this instance? If you just click on terminate, that's it. This machine will be terminated. This machine will be terminated. This machine will be terminated. Okay. And you know the difference, right? Terminated means what? Permanently deleting. Termination is nothing but permanently deleting. We will not get the instance back again. And you know the meaning of stopping the instance? Stopping is nothing but shutting down. This reboot option is nothing but restarting the instance. If you want to restart, you can go for this reboot. We have some other option called hibernate. We will discuss about this option later. So far, you understood start option, stop, reboot, terminate. Terminate is nothing but permanently deleting. If you select this terminate, if I click on terminate option, this machine will be permanently deleted. You can try. You can practice. Okay. Fine. Now what I'm going. I would like to show you. Okay. We understood what is this statistics. And the next thing is like we should also understand how to protect the instance from accidental termination. Suppose you see, if you join any organization and if you're working in the AWS cloud, so there will be a single account, there will be a single AWS account, and they will provide you access. They will provide access for all the users who will be working on the same, who will be working on the AWS cloud. So within the same account only, they will provide access. They will not create multiple accounts, right? They'll create only one account at the organization level, and they are going to provide you the access. They are going to provide you the access, and I will also show you later. There is a service called IAM. IAM. See, if I am the owner of this account, I am the owner of this account. I created this account. That's the reason why I'm the owner of this account. If I want to provide access to all of you, I can provide. If I would like to provide access to all of you, I can provide. So for providing access to all of you, I can use a service called, I can go to a service called IAM. There is a service called IAM. We will specifically talk about this particular service in the upcoming sessions. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. See, the name itself indicates access management, identity and access management. The owner of the account, so usually the account can be created at organization level, and then the users will be added to the account by using a service called IAM. IAM stands for Identity and Access Management. So we are going to talk about all these services later. IAM, EBS, Elastic Block Storage, what is Identity and Access Management, all these services later. Okay. So now I will restrict to how to protect this instance from the accidental termination. What do you mean by accidental termination? Suppose I'm the new joiner. Okay, I have joined newly, or otherwise you just think about like this is the owner account and few users have been added to the account and they also have the access. Suppose by mistake, if they select the instance and if they go to the instance state and if they click on terminate instance and they click on the terminate option, terminate button, this instance will get deleted. See, knowingly or unknowingly. That's why we are using the term called accidentally. I am not saying that users are deleting the instance intentionally. I am not saying that users who have been added to this account, they are going to terminate this instance intentionally. Sometimes accidentally also, we might select some options. Consider a situation, I am the new user who has been added to this account and I'm going to select this server. I am going to select this terminate button and I will simply click on this terminate button. Not intentionally, but accidentally, I selected this terminate button. What happens? This machine will be deleted permanently. And we have done lots of setup on this server. We have installed many things and we have lots of setup in this server. If I lost this server, are we going to get the backup of the server? No, we did not take a backup of the server. I'll show you how to take the backup of the server and all later. How to take the backup of the server also we'll discuss. But for now, you think the scenario, we don't have the backup and the user not intentionally, but accidentally has deleted the server. So whose mistake is this? See, what I say is, this is not the mistake of the person who deleted the server. This is absolutely the mistake of the person who is maintaining the access. The person who is maintaining the access, he should not provide the access of terminating the instance. Sorry. He should have all the access. He should have all the access of connecting to the server, okay, interacting with the server, installing any packages. He can give all the access if he requires, but he should not give this particular access, this terminate instance option. How to protect this? If we want to protect the instance, you see here, we can go for protecting the instance. We will go to the instance settings and we will change the termination protection. We'll go to this server. We'll select the server. And here, we'll go to the instance settings. And if you see the instance settings here, where I'm going, let me show once again. I'm selecting this server. Go to the actions. You will see the instance settings option. Just click on that. so that again the menu will be open. Okay. And here you will find out one option called change termination protection. Change termination protection. So this is for, you need to check this option. The person who is maintaining the access, who is the admin of this account, he need to enable this termination protection and he need to save it. So what we are doing, we are enabling the termination protection. We are enabling the termination protection. Successfully enabled the termination protection. What do you mean by this? So now the termination protection is enabled. I am the user newly added. I'm going to this I'm selecting the server. I'm going to select this particular option. So still the terminate instance option is enabled. Let me refresh and try. I'm just refreshing. I'm just refreshing this one. Okay, again, I'm selecting this server. Go to the instance state. Okay, I'm now selecting this terminate instance option. I'm going to terminate this one. See, when I'm trying to terminate this instance, what it is saying? You understood, right? I'm going to the terminate instance. I'm selecting this terminate instance option and I'm going to terminate this. When I click on terminate option, you see here failure to terminate because failure to terminate because it is protected. This instance is protected from the accidental termination. See, whenever you are the admin of this account or whenever you have the admin level access, it is your responsibility to protect all the resources, not only the EC2 instance I'm talking about. Not only the EC2 instance. If you are at the admin level, if you are managing or maintaining the resources, it is your responsibility to protect the resources. Otherwise, it will be a very huge loss to the organization. Definitely, it will be a very huge loss to the organization. You need to protect the instances by exploring the different options. Now you see, I have enabled at the root level. I am the owner of this account. I created this resource and I just enabled the accidental termination. And even if the users try to terminate this instance also, they cannot terminate because the accidental termination is on. Users cannot directly terminate this instance. Okay. And how to disable this option? Again, go to the actions, instance state, change the termination protection, uncheck this option, save this, successfully removed the termination protection. Now I can try deleting this option. Okay, terminate this instance. Just click on terminate. Yes, successfully initiated termination. I deleted this instance, you see. I have deleted this instance. You can see now what is the instance state. It is shutting down. It is terminated. It is deleted permanently. We will not get back this instance. We will not be having this instance after that. After a few seconds, it is going to be terminated. Okay. So still we are going to discuss about many things on this EC2. We'll also see how to scale up or scale out. What is the meaning of scale up and scale out? And we will see how to create our own AMIs, how to create snapshots, how can we migrate the instances from one region to another region, how to add the storage devices. All these things we will be discussing under EC2 service. But today we will close it. Any doubts you have, please let me know. We'll discuss. Otherwise, we will close it. Hope you understood what we discussed today. We created a server, Windows server in the AWS cloud, and we connected to the instance. And you know what are all the options that we have used for connecting. Okay. So you need to select RDP client. There you need to select DNS name, username, and I have shown you how to generate the password. For generating the password, you need to upload the key pair. Once you upload the key pair, the password will be generated, and you need to open RDP connection from your local machine. You need to provide all the 3 details over there and then click on connect button so that you will be connecting to the server. I've shown you how we got connected, and after that we have some options. We have explored some options like how to stop the instance, rebooting, terminating, and after that we have also seen how we are going to. We also understood the meaning of status checks. Okay, if there are any issues with the status checks, how we are going to resolve the issues with the status checks, all these things also we discussed. And we also discussed about how to enable the accidental termination. How to enable the accidental termination also. Thank you. Thanks for joining the session. Any doubts, please let me know. Otherwise, we will be meeting tomorrow for the next session. Any questions? We'll upload today's video also in the group. Please go through that. Thank you all. Let's meet tomorrow. If you don't have any doubts, let's meet tomorrow for the next session.